Hello and welcome to Between Sets with Church. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's guest is Mr. Roy Hickling, and joining us is Ray Dillard. Thank you very much for joining us today, guys.
Yeah, good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
You got a pretty cool studio here, Ray. This is quite the setup. It's kind of cool too, because when you gave me directions to get here, we're pulling up here and I go, I've been to this house before. I know this is kind of cool. So how long have you had this setup for here, Ray?
We moved here about 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, from Toronto.
Okay.
And
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So, Mr. Hickling, we have a bit of a history too. We go back about 30 some odd years ourselves. Go back to P House and Folk Society with Andrew. I was going to say I'll call this the name dropping episode because I think there's going to be a few along the way. So, we met quite a long time ago. At that time, you had just graduated from university, and then you were a farmer, and then from there, let's go. We got sculptor, artisan, musician, welder. What am I got to be missing something here.
Environmental art.
Environmental art, yes, exactly that. And actually, on that note, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Environmental art.
Yeah. No. It started with a piece. I don't know if they'll. It started in somebody that I didn't mind their backyard, but I could see that at some point before too terrible long, I wouldn't want to see it. Maybe I shouldn't put this in here.
That's okay.
So a big lot of figuring out what I might do back there was let's just make a little windbreak here, and it could be a picnic area or something. And then it all evolved from there. Like next thing you know, I've got Ray up, and we're planting spruce trees, and oops, I just clubbed the mic. We're planting spruce trees, and then there was the next year, I guess, was the year you got your little power backhoe.
Yeah.
Ray got interested in things, so we need power tools to plant it. This couple hundred.
Any reason
trees.
to buy a power tool?
Oh yeah, it's a man thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So after 2 or 3 years, I had it filled out pretty good, and then thinned the trees. But they were, started out, I guess, we thinned down to probably about 120 or 30. And
Can I borrow that CD real quick?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and there's.
There it is.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That's actually
the tree circle.
Neat.
Yeah, I mean, you can't see them as well on this, but that is a circle of trees.
Yeah.
And what was the total land space on that? Was it?
I don't know. I'm not good with that.
An acre or two or something?
It'd be more than
an
an
acre,
acre, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
a
pretty
couple.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got welding, you got your art, painting. I think last time I interviewed you, actually, you were doing a lot of visual art as well.
Yeah. I moved more into large globes, would be like 8-footers, and made quite a few of those and let the painting go. But it comes back, all this stuff seems to rotate. And what was the other? Never mind that one.
No, okay.
I'm just not ready.
Self-editing is good, Roy. It's all good.
We're not ready to talk about that one yet.
Let's just save the editing department a little bit. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of. I'll go for it now. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff tied into the next piece because it was about not halfway done, but getting up towards it, and that was about the time that they had the. My wife observed things going on with my health, and which I hadn't really clued in myself quite yet. So it was making it to the point where I wasn't really safe getting up on a ladder and hanging up sculptures, and I wasn't sure about the welding end of things either. So I had to have a little bit of a change in what I was doing, and I really did need an assistant. And my buddy and great artist Tim Bilton volunteered to come and give me a half a day a week to work on metal stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty grateful for that. That kept me going. Yeah.
Well, I've seen some of your work, and it is absolutely amazing. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we're gonna cut into shortly a song that you had written for a fellow friend. That this fellow friend for me goes back about 45 years or so, and all the way back to high school. And when I saw the songs that you performed, I didn't even know this existed, so it was a complete shock to me. And I think I'll let you introduce the song, and because we did talk about name dropping as well. So
We got to do
You're talking about Bobby Orr?
yes, Bobby. Oh yeah, Bobby's pretty famous around here.
Yeah, so we didn't. If we call Bobby or never mind. I'm just thinking
More editing.
we have to draw up a map of where the edits have to be.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna sue us. But anyways, a good friend and his and a couple of good friends. Their dad worked for Rowney's back in the '60s, and at some point the program ended, and they ended up with, Donald said, maybe 20 or 25 Bobby Orr signed hockey sticks, and and they use every last one of them for road hockey.
That's part of the story I do remember.
Which is so funny. And when I was first singing the song, every time I'd do it, somebody would come up with a story of how they lost their Bobby Orr sticks, and often there were spouses
I didn't know there was that many sticks. I thought Bruce only had the one.
That's the point.
Oh, okay.
The point is that you always have to pick the funniest number. Right? So I picked the funny number and worry about anything else.
That's funny. Well, why don't we talk about Bobby or Bruce and Bobby Orr? Let's have a listen to it.
True story. Bruce was just like any kid, following his dreams. He had a love of hockey. Boston was his team. His dad came home from work one day. He made a mighty score. 20 brand new hockey sticks that were signed by Bobby Orr. Bruce, like any other kid, he couldn't be worn down. Unlike wooden hockey sticks, if you drag them on the ground. And he really loved road hockey. It's where he truly shone. So he took his Bobby hockey sticks and he used them one by one. Bruce can talk to anyone. He's really got the touch. But this happens to be a subject that he doesn't like too much. A look of pain will cross his face. It never really ends. You know, he kinda looks like Bobby Orr if he was doing deep knee bends. Stop those memories flooding in again. A little glaze of happiness and a little air of pain. Bruce is still a Boston fan, loyal to the end. He wears his jersey for the playoff games, and he calls his hockey friends. Me, I watched for many years before I finally quit. When they named the team the Mighty Ducks, I said, okay, that's it. But I sometimes will turn it on again, though it's really not the same as back when banking was a business. But hockey was a game. The boots would make good goalposts, and the cold held many joys. there was no such thing as memorabilia. Hockey sticks were toys. There's a photograph of Bobby Orr, a flying number 4, where he's frozen in time up above the ice. It's such a joyful soar. And if I'm not a hockey fan, it begs the question, why? When I look at that photograph, I get something in my eye. Can't stop those memories from flooding in again. A little glaze of happiness and a little lure of pain. Car.
That was absolutely wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah. So you also Barrie Arts Awards. You are also a recent recipient. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. It's the idea was given to me by Trudy Romanek, who's a playwright and a patron of the arts and a brilliant person. And anyways, there was a little bit of a shuffle, and they needed to have somebody come in and take over the project, and that someone ended up being my wife, Sue.
Okay.
So there was a lot of really interesting research work that had to be done to make that happen, and then I want to acknowledge that if the work was left to me, I'd be making my own trophies.
So how did you guys actually meet?
Well, we're kin, and my wife is his sister.
Okay,
And
I didn't know that.
I moved to Toronto. My wife and I moved to Toronto from the States in '98. I'd been working with a percussion ensemble based in Toronto for many, many years, and finally it just became absurd, the amount of traveling back and forth I was doing. So we moved to Toronto, and I continued my career in Toronto, both as a player and as a record producer.
Yeah, and you've worked with some pretty good names too. You're throwing around there with me yesterday.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've
Yeah.
worked on a lot of great
Martha
projects.
from Martha and the
and the
Muffins
Muffins
and-
solo
yeah,
project, and
yeah.
in terms of Canadian persons. And then I have clients from all over the world that I've worked with, some of them for 30 years plus. So I feel very lucky that I've had the career I've had. I've been able to make a lot of great music. And it's not popular music, it's not in the popular idiom, but it's music that in 100 years will still be studied.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's important music, and that's not an egotistical statement. It's just a reality of the kind of music I work on. Is kind of music that we talk about historically for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's been really great. And so when we met, you know, I was already doing what I do, and Roy had stopped writing. He hadn't written in a while, and I encouraged him to write a little bit. And I said, why don't we make a little recording? And I brought one of my portable digital rigs up in this very house and recorded. And then he came up to my place in Toronto and recorded a little bit. And one thing led to another, and then there was a record.
Yeah,
And we did a whole
this-
that one before that.
Okay.
There was a whole record that we did that was done in a variety of places with great musicians, and Roy, all original as always, all original
Yep.
Roy tunes. And then little by little, we moved here, you know, to make our residence here rather than Toronto, and we remain best friends, close like brothers, and been able to make music together too. So
Nice.
it's like a bonus.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he started writing like a madman again. And,
Yeah.
Writing machine.
yeah. So then, you know, that was great because that was my whole stimulus point, was hoping that he would just start writing again.
Yeah.
He had written a lot of funny songs early in his writing career. They were good, but they tended to be lighter. And he was old enough, and I had a feeling he had something to say.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as
Well,
he
actually,
ever said it.
Cecil J is maybe a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little about the lyrics behind that?
Well, it's based on a plaque that was on the wall in a little town called Lougheed in Alberta. Okay. And I walked by and noticed the sign, and there was a gentleman there who I asked about it, and he was sort of given the party line off of the plaque, and I said, so how was this guy's life after, the awards and all this? And he just looked down and looked up and said, "It's not good." So that had me hooked, and I found one guy in town that remembered him. There was quite an age difference. And I got on the phone and found some other people, including an uncle, and so I included information that I could glean locally, and for the filler, and that line in it where it was 200 yards between the doors of the hotel and
that we were staying in.
Yeah.
He was staying in Lougheed. We were both there together. And
But anyways, all of that little the stuff from the neighbors and is part of the meat of songwriting is to find that stuff when you can.
Yeah. Why don't we have a quick listen to that, and we'll get back.
Deep in the mud of Passchendaele, digging a trench was like digging to hell. Cecil J. Kinross fought there, and he won the Victoria Cross. British generals wouldn't measure the progress in yards. I guess counting the dead was a little too hard. 16,000 casualties on one hill, but Cecil saved some. Machine gun fire had them pinned down until Cecil took off across open ground after he took out the gun. And 6 men, they made 300 yards on that day. Oh, come to me, run to me. Can't you see victory here in Victoria's arms? When they awarded VCs, most were already dead. But Cecil survived, getting shot in the head. And 4 men fell trying to carry him down. So he walked in himself. And Cecil would say, it wasn't brave what I'd done. We would save up our rations and fight fear with the rum. And we were all just regular guys with a job to do. But Cecil was brave. He planned his charge on that day. And he knew the risks. A friend heard him say, here I go for a Victoria Cross, or a wooden one. Oh, come to me, run to me. Can't you see victory here in Victoria's arms? He came home to the farm, but he hadn't the touch. Sometimes he drank a little too much, and he was known as a wild one. But he was well loved. From the Legion at Lougheed to the hotel door, it's 200 steps, not a step more. Cecil lived there for 20-odd years. He died there alone. Who knows what an old soldier carries inside? The guilt of survival, the horror, the pride, the weight of the dreams of his buddies that died all those years ago. Oh, come to me, run to me. Can't you see victory here in Victoria's arms? Oh, come to me, run to me. Can't you see victory here in Victoria's arms?
Hopefully you're comfortable with this, but I want to talk a little bit more about the situation that you have now. You've had some challenges that you're facing, and it's great to see that you're still pushing on and doing this and everything else. But do you want to talk a little bit about the challenges that you've recently gone through and are facing?
Yeah. Well, there's a whole variety of symptoms that seem to rotate, and they also vary in their intensity and how annoying they are versus sometimes a lot of things that happen are just kind of niggly, but then other times it's like, oh, you've kind of had enough, I guess.
Oh yeah,
But, yeah. So I don't know. I think that I've got my frame of mind in a good position. I've got a great support system
that's
of
very
people.
important too. Yeah.
I've this the work that's happened down here has been huge, and that requires a lot of time and commitment from a lot of other people besides me. I get to lie on the couch.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing.
No,
either.
no, sometimes
Unless you're
it's
watching
necessary.
the Leafs, then you'd rather be happy on the couch sometimes.
Yeah.
But has it writing obviously has it changed a little bit? I know the one track that we're going to listen to or have listened to as well that's on there. That have you written more after you were diagnosed, and has it changed the way you've looked at things?
Well, I'll do it from a standpoint of the writing first. I think
Tough to decide. Yeah.
yeah, it's a hard question.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that there has been
it'll come
new
back.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And maybe even more critical, there's been really very intuitive and inspirational rewrites of older material that we've recorded.
okay.
He's went back and revisited some of the lyrics and fixed some of the less functional aspects and turned it into much more solid music.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important too.
Yeah, and
Well-
so there's new material coming out that we can look forward to.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of material that hasn't been released
Was
yet.
there?
Over
Yeah.
100 songs
I know
Yeah.
you were telling me
that
that
haven't been
yesterday.
released yet that are recorded. All
Okay.
are recorded.
Yes, and they're
So at some
good
point
to
soon
go.
there will be, well, maybe not soon, but at some point you guys will be
when
releasing
we feel like we're
another album.
at a point where we're going to do more than an album. We're going to do a big collaborative look at his whole entire written history
Yeah,
musically.
Nice.
And, so it'll be a big anthology kind of like, in addition to another CD,
Yeah.
a third kind of feature CD.
yeah. I know I've done before. I've had a few of my issues myself, and you have to be inspired really to get up.
Yeah.
And we talked about how Steve and I did a show actually called Music is the Medicine, and it's so important that you have something to look forward to. And
Maybe I can sum this up. It's actually, we went through a whole metamorphosis of how we record music, and we found a new way. We found a way that works with the new condition that Roy has found himself in. And he took a very strong attack mode against that and worked very, very hard for the last several years to record way over 100 songs that had never been, from his back catalog, that had not been recorded. And it was a new approach, and it was powerful, and it was inspirational for me to watch.
I was going to say, the word you said, it was
Thanks,
inspiring, and inspiration comes to me as well. So, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Good to see you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for having us here.
Sure.
Good. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Take care.
Lewy body syndrome, I don't wish to be crass. If you were just a quarter inch shorter, I'd kick you in. With so many people ready, so many people set, it's a bloody wonder no one's kicked it yet. Hey there, Louis, hold your elbows stiff. I'm gonna tie you to a go-kart, push you down a cliff. Here you go, Louis, it's a tiny movie squib. Bite it with your back teeth, you'd better wear a bib. Louis is a con man, Louis is a snake. Louis minds your mind up until you're wide awake. Louis body syndrome, don't mean to be crass. If you were just a quarter inch shorter, I'd kick you in. Louis is no fun. And here's a list of great things that Louis body's done.
Deep in the mud of Passchendaele, digging a trench was like digging to hell. Cecil J. Kinross fought there, and he won the Victoria Cross. British generals wouldn't measure the progress in yards. I guess counting the dead was a little too hard.